You know, in cybersecurity, we've always been told to follow the money. But what if the biggest threats we're facing today aren't after your wallet? What if they're actually after something, well, something way more valuable, your reputation? A new kind of attacker is rising through the ranks, and believe me, they are not playing by the old rules. So let's break down this new landscape.
So let's get one thing straight right from the get-go. If you think the main goal of a cyber attack is just financial gain, you're already playing catch-up. There's a totally new motivation taking center stage, and it's driven by ideology, which, frankly, makes it dangerously unpredictable.
All right, first up, we need to get a handle on this new reality. The entire map of cyber threats is literally being redrawn right before our eyes, and the dangers we thought we knew are being eclipsed by something, well, something fundamentally different.
And look, this isn't just some minor software patch or an update we're talking about. This is a complete rewrite of the security playbook. What we're seeing is this growing wave of attacks that are designed not just to breach your systems, but to publicly humiliate organizations and expose their deepest secrets to the world.
And here's why this matters so much. The fallout from these attacks isn't contained in the server room anymore. Oh no. This is the kind of crisis that rips through every single part of an organization. It shreds your brand perception, completely destroys customer trust, and can even hammer your political standing. The stakes have just never been higher.
So what is this new threat exactly? Well, the term we really need to get our heads around is hacktivism. Let's dig in and break down precisely what it means, and maybe more importantly, what really drives the people behind it.
Simply put, it's hacking with a cause. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a digital protest. The goal isn't to get rich, it's to make a powerful statement, to force an agenda into the spotlight, and hold an organization accountable, but in the court of public opinion.
And this is where the difference becomes crystal clear. On one side, you've got your traditional cybercriminal. They're driven by profit, right? Their attacks are basically a business transaction. But on the other side, you have the hacktivist. They're driven by a belief, and their currency isn't money, it's impact and attention. That one little difference in motive, it changes everything about how they operate.
So what does that impact actually look like? Well, imagine this. They're leaking your most sensitive internal documents, shutting down your services for the whole world to see, and hijacking your platforms to twist public perception. It is all about creating a highly visible and, let's be honest, often deeply embarrassing public spectacle.
Okay, so we know why they do it. Now let's talk about how they do it. What are the go-to tools we find in the Hacktivists toolkit?
Two of their favorite methods are pretty brute force, but they are incredibly effective. A DDoS attack is basically a digital siege. It's like creating a giant traffic jam that floods a website with so much junk data that nobody legit can get through. And then there's website defacement. That's even more direct. It's digital graffiti, just plastering your homepage with their political message for everyone to see.
And right here, this is where it gets incredibly damaging. Hacktivists will hunt for your most confidential data. We're talking internal emails, customer lists, future product plans, and then they just release it all to the world. They're engineering maximum reputational harm.
And of course, one of the oldest tricks in the book is still one of the most effective. These groups are masters of manipulating people, not just code. They trick employees into giving up passwords or clicking on malicious links, which just proves, once again, that the human element is almost always the weakest link.
So let's connect the dots here. What does all of this actually mean for your organization? Why should this big shift in motive cause you to rethink your entire approach to security? Let's trace the real-world consequences, because honestly, they're staggering.
You know, what's really fascinating is how this all unfolds like a devastating domino effect. It starts with the technical breach, sure, but that's just the first domino. That attack then causes immediate operational disruption. Then, as services start to fail, customers panic, which leads to a rapid loss of trust. But the final, lingering blow? That's the reputational damage. It's a stain that can take years, if not decades, to wash away.
And just to be crystal clear, we are talking about tangible, gut-wrenching losses here. Operational downtime means revenue is just evaporating by the minute. When customer trust is gone, well, so is your customer base. And on top of all that financial and reputational bleeding, you're now facing regulatory fines and legal battles. It's a war on multiple fronts.
Okay, so the threat is real, the consequences are severe, but here is the good news. We can absolutely prepare for this. This isn't about being helpless, it's about being proactive.
So let's walk through a modern strategy for building a defense that's actually ready for this new landscape. This is the new action plan, and it's all about being ready. First up, real-time monitoring, not just of your network, but of the chatter about your brand online. Next, you got to strengthen your incident response plan so it becomes a reflex, not a mad scramble. Third, continuous vulnerability tests, because your defenses are only as good as their last test. Now this next one, number 4, I think is critical, monitoring your brand exposure to spot potential motives before an attack even happens. And finally, number 5, securing your third-party access, because your supply chain is now part of your attack surface.
At the end of the day, what this all boils down to is a fundamental mindset shift. Your firewall, your antivirus, that's just table stakes. It's not enough anymore. You have to prepare for an adversary who isn't trying to cash a check. They're trying to win an argument, and they might just be willing to burn your organization to the ground to do it.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You're no longer just protecting systems. You are on the front lines, and you're protecting your reputation, you're protecting trust, and you're protecting the very continuity of your business. The battlefield has changed.
And that leaves us with one final and pretty urgent question. This isn't some theoretical threat for the distant future. It's happening right now. So when you look at your own organization, you really have to ask yourself, is my defense built to stop a thief, or is it ready for a true believer?